Hi, I'm Jay, and this is our 1979 Lincoln Mark V, and today we're just going to get it up to snuff for the summer driving season. We've got a few things on our agenda. I rolled an AC belt on the freeway, of course, and made it home thankfully, but changed the plugs out, checked the distributor cap and rotor, and changed the oil, and also check out the rear diff oil. That's about all we got to do today. Let's get started. So I suppose we'll start with the belts. So on the way home from work the other day on the freeway, you smell a real nasty rubber smell, of course, and I'm like, I just blew a belt. Okay, so and I was thinking to myself, I just put new belts on. I made sure everything was appropriately tensioned. Like it was just the other day. And then I thought about it for a minute, and the other day happened to be 10 years and 25,000 miles ago. So it's about time to change all three belts as opposed to just the one that's gone. So we'll do that. Oh, looks like the pulleys for the idler and the AC compressor clutch are both feel good. So I don't think that had anything to do with our issue there. I think we just had an old belt that finally gave way. So yeah, start by removing the rest of the belts. We'll start with our alternator belt right here. It's on one of the furthest on the outside. There we go, nice and loose. It's going to be a little bit difficult to see, but you see this kind of rubber splash guard looking thing down here? That was actually tucked up underneath here in a kind of precarious location that may have actually made contact with our belt here. So that might have been why we blew it. So just make sure we keep that down where it needs to be. All right, so now the fun part where we get to try to snake it around the fan. Yay! Okay. So unfortunately, OEM Ford Motorcraft belts are not available, so this is gonna have to do. So this is our power steering belt. So I'm not going to tighten this belt yet because I still want to be able to move the fan, be able to get the other belts on. So we'll tighten them all the belts at once. So the next one will be our AC compressor belt. Okay, so. Let me show you something here. So I don't like how close this idler pulley is to the fan pulley right there. That's a little bit unnerving. So I think what happened is I have the incorrect size belt. So I'll get back to you. Hang on. Well, I guess not. That is the correct size belt. So we're gonna have to make do. We'll figure that out. All right, so now for the alternator belt. Which is super easy because I don't have to get around the fan. Just the balancer pulley down here and roll it onto this guy. Come on, there we go. Cool. Now we can start tightening them up. So we're already here at the alternator, might as well start there. Trying to find a way to get some decent leverage on this thing. Feels pretty good. Let's get her tightened down. Feels good. Let's go on to the next one. All right, so the fan, or excuse me, the AC compressor belt right here. So we gotta make sure that's as tight as humanly possible. I wanted to keep it as far away from this pulley as I can. But that might be easier said than done, so we'll find out. Actually, with appropriate leverage, I think I might be able to do that, so. Ouch, that'll work. Feels good. Good enough for me. Now last one, the power steering and fan belt. So once again, finding a good leverage point is going to be mildly difficult because I really don't want to crush my fuel line here. There's yeah, should have known better. All right, but all right, so now we gotta tighten these down. Hang on. Yeah, feels good. Sweet. There. So you might be wondering why I choose to replace my spark plugs on a yearly basis. That sounds a bit excessive, and it is. But the reason I do that is because this thing's pretty cold-blooded. Cold mornings, it doesn't tend to start immediately, right? So you start, stall, then you finally get it up and going, right? So that's just a reality with old cars like this, but this one especially is extremely cold-blooded. Always has been, always will be. I already know that. So I don't want to foul plugs. So I just replace them on a yearly basis. They're pretty cheap. Like $28 for a set of these, standard copper champions. That's good enough for me. We got a gapper plugs and start pulling them out and putting them in. Simple shit. So, but first we're going to check our manual to ensure that what our appropriate gap is. All right, so general ignition service 2301. So we're at 2301, replacing spark plugs 0111. So there we are, replacing spark plugs. And it says, check the gap on each new spark plug and set the specification if necessary. That's real specific. Thank you so much. Thank God for the internet, I guess. We'll be back here in a minute. So according to the Lincoln subreddit, 40 to 45 thousandths of a gap is perfectly fine. And generally works well with these cars. So that's what we'll do. We'll gap all our plugs at 40, 45 thousand. Yeah, so the gaps on most of those plugs was just fine right out of the box, but we did have one that must have gotten knocked around a little bit during shipping, and it was the electrode was nearly closed. So that's why you check. And yeah, let's take the ones that takes them out, puts them in. One more word of advice before we get started, and you want to do this on a completely cold engine. Otherwise, if it's hot, you'll start having threading issues, and you might bind them up trying to get them out and end up stripping threads, and at that point, you're basically fucked. So, cold engine. Good. Okay. So we're going to remove and replace one at a time. One at a time, just so we don't accidentally get our firing order mixed up. So, one at a time, I'll go grab my socket. All right. Damn. I think it's on there. There we go. A little tough. Okay, so inspecting this, it honestly does not look bad at all. Other than the fact that I broke the insulator off while while taking it out. But I think we got a good healthy engine. Of course, there's nothing wrong with this, but we're going to replace them anyway. So now I kind of have to. So yeah, here we go. Now you want to make sure to hand thread these because you don't want to accidentally cross thread anything. And I'm going to show you a little trick. You actually use an old piece, like a little piece of heater hose, and stick the insulator of your new spark plug in there, just like that. So that way you can still kind of feel it, but you can also get enough length in there, and also turn it in, it bends like this, so you can still feel if you're going to cross thread anything or not. Makes it super easy so you don't have to use a wrench and then hope you're doing it right. So, very wise old man I call Grandpa showed me this back in the day, and it works. Yep, threading nicely. All right. Just nice and snug. There is a torque setting for these, but you know, fuck all that. Just make sure it's not going to come out. Just nice and snug. I'd have to say probably something like 25 pound-feet or so. Put your boot back on, and you'll feel it kind of snap into the plug inside there, and it should feel pretty snug. So yeah, rinse and repeat. We're going to do all these. Might be kind of a pain in the butt to get behind here because of the master cylinder, but other than that, should be all set. Now for this one back here, we might have to get a little bit creative, so bear with me here. Okay, looks like I still get my ratchet in there. Got it. Okay. Whew. Now we're on the passenger side, and all these should be real easy to get to. yeah, so we got all 8 plugs in, no problem. Now we're going to move on to our distributor cap and our cap and rotor and make sure that everything's up to snuff. There's no signs of damage and all that. It's only got about 4,000-ish miles on it, which is well within its service window. So shouldn't see any problems, but we'll see. So this is not from my Lincoln. This is from my old Mercedes, but well, an example of the kind of type of thing where we're going to try to look for. This is a distributor cap that failed at a stoplight on me, of course. What we're looking for is any kind of signs of arcing or excessive damage or wear. Like you can see right down here, how the rotor was cutting into this little plastic area right here, because it was wobbling back and forth. And you see it definitely arced here too. Take a look at that. Yeah, that's the kind of situation we're trying to avoid, so that's why we're looking at this. Yeah, so basically no problems at all. There's just some light scoring and such. Honestly, to be expected. Yeah, I don't see anything wrong with this. Let's check out our rotor. Trying not to undo all this shit. Yeah, spring looks good. Yeah, no damage. I think we're okay. Put her back on. So another thing you might have noticed is that why the heck is there aluminum foil on this fuel line with heat insulation around it too? I'm like, well, why on earth is he doing that? That's some seriously ghetto shit there. And yes, it is. But the reason I'm doing that is because the ethanol content in today's gasoline makes it boil at a significantly lower temperature. And so significant, in fact, that if I'm just idling at a stoplight in the middle of the middle of summertime, and there's only about 7 pounds of pressure coming from that little mechanical pump down there, it'll literally boil the gas, and just due to heat, radiant heat from the engine as well as ambient temperature. So that's why I have that reflective heat insulation and the tin foil. That all that does is reflect the heat away from the fuel line. It works extremely well. I've never had a problem with this since doing so, and it was actually pretty frequent occurrence for a while. It took me a while to figure out, but yeah, so no more vapor locking. It's pretty awesome. Yeah, so the belts look like they're doing okay. No issues there. Yeah, we gotta let this old girl warm up a bit just before we change the oil, because the oil's got to be kind of warm to make sure everything drains out. So, kind of how it is. But let it run for a little bit. But it seems like all plugs are firing, and the belt situation looks good too. Doesn't look like we lost any tension on startup, so I think we're okay. All right, so we got this thing pretty well warmed up, and now we got to drain the oil. So it might be kind of difficult to see very well while I'm actually crawling around underneath here, just because I gotta have room. But the plug is right there. It's a super great design. It drains it right on top of this crap. But just so you know where the plug is, so you're able to see it better, you might be able to get a decent angle on it, but we'll see. But and the filter right up there. Yeah, so super easy to get to, and yeah, we'll go from there. Also, take the fill cap off while you drain it. It'll drain a heck of a lot easier. Of course, it's everywhere. All right. Yep. And right here into your. Yep, we're gonna continue to let it drain, and we're gonna get that guy off. I gotta go grab a wrench real quick. All right, that's a piece of shit. All right, so it's actually coming off pretty easy. Yeah. Let that guy drain for a little while. All right. So here is our new filter. That's a dry gasket. We don't want to put a dry gasket on there. So what we're gonna do, take a little bit of this stuff in here and just wet it down, rub it down. Another thing you want to make sure of is that the gasket came off with the other oil filter, which it did, but you really don't want to double gasket those because you'll end up with leaks on top of leaks on top of leaks. So, and there's some debate whether you should pre-fill your oil filters or not, but given the fact that it's on a funky angle and all that, and been changing oil in these cars for years and it really doesn't matter, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to put it in dry, but we won't have an issue. The theory behind that is to prevent dry startup. But, you know, it's only a couple seconds at most. So, generally hand tight is okay, but my hands are kind of oily and gross. So, I'm going to try to clean it off as best I can and get some grip on it. Yeah. Yeah. Perfect. Okay. All right. So now, I'm going to find a drain plug. This guy right here. Make sure you do not cross thread this again, because then you're replacing the oil pan or trying to tap this out and it's a pain in the ass. So just be very, very careful. And always use that crush washer too. There we go. There. Hand tight, and then snug it up with a wrench. Apologize for being clumsy, but I'm doing this one-handed at the moment, and it's just a little bit slippery. So. Nice and snug, and there we go. That's all we want. Clean this up a little bit too. You know, a little bit of pride and self-respect goes a long way. So, there. Okay. So the convenient thing about these old Ford 400s and the 460s, of course, is that they take exactly 5 quarts of oil, and that's super convenient. All right. Okay, so now we just got to make sure we got good oil pressure and all that. There it goes. Sweet. I think we're good on that end. All right, so now that we got this thing's rather large ass up in the air, you can take a look down here. I'll show you what I'm gonna do. Now, unfortunately, we got a problem. Yeah, we got a leak here. So it's probably that pinion seal. Looks like it to me. I think that gasket's okay. But that's our fill plug. We're just gonna fill it up. and give it a good clean. And because it looks like it's seeping all the way out into here, which means it pretty much has to be that pinion seal back there. So not happy, but I don't have the parts to do it right now, so that's going to be a future video. So we'll just fill it up so we can, you know, just drive it here and there, and shouldn't have any issue. Just keep an eye on it. But yeah, that's what we'll do. We got to get a 3/8 inch ratchet up into here, crack it loose, fill it full of like 80-90. That's it. So we got our ratchet on there. See if we can break it loose. That was easier than I thought. Okay. So. Well. Looks like it's got enough in there. That's for sure. So, no problem there. So, yeah, so I guess we're just going to keep an eye on our, thought for sure I was going to have to fill it up just due to the leaking situation here, but I think we're probably okay, at least for now. I will be taking care of this in a future video, because this is concerning. So, good enough. So you've got something to keep an eye on, and I got a future project, so that's why we check these things. Yeah, so that went fairly well. So as far as cost is concerned, it was about $28 or so for a set of 8 plugs, about $26 for 5 quarts of oil, about $14, $15 for that for OE oil filter. So the belts aren't part of my yearly schedule, but they were about $6 a piece. And unfortunately, I did have to go with a third-party manufacturer with that, because I'm one of the few crazy dumbasses that still actually semi-daily these things. So, you know, it's not exactly a huge financial incentive for Ford to keep making them. So I had to go with a third-party manufacturer, but they ran about $6 a piece. So that was largely inconsequential too. And the rear diff, kind of unfortunate it's leaking a little bit, but it's not bad. I'm not super concerned about it. But we are going to take care of that pinion seal in the very near future. So I'll just keep an eye on it. We'll go from there. But other than that, everything went great. She's good for the summertime. Thanks for watching, guys. Till next time.